I'm trying to come Saturday night if they still have space. They might not the first time.
We're putting up extra chairs.
Yeah. Well, because it's like senior, the last one, and that's what you guys, I think that's what Hannah wanted me to do, was come Saturday night. Yeah. Yeah. So, I've been supporting her all the way. All you guys, all the way. I'm both ready. You tell me where we're going to go. You just need to give me Wednesday or Saturday and a number somewhere between 1 to 28 or 1 to 30, depending on which one you took. Maggie, go.
Saturday number 3.
Okay. Should all of you guys be able to go to Saturday number 3? Yes. Some of you, it's your exam. Some of you, it's the other one. But either way, we can all go there. Saturday number 3. What makes it hard? It's a limit. It's an absolute value. It's a limit. It's an absolute value. I think for BC, you don't need me to give you tricks. You need me to give you the math. So what's the math? X plus 7 over the absolute value of x plus 7 is a piecewise function. Sometimes it's keep it the same, and sometimes it's keep it the same, and sometimes it's opposite. When are the sometimes? Okay. What would make this inside be a positive? Oh, be a positive and stay the same. Do you see it? What x values? Greater than? Well, 7 plus 7 is 14. How about negative 7? Does that make sense? So what must this? Why am I saying that? What's that limit approaching? Negative 7. Doesn't that mean either side? Doesn't this one reduce to be a negative one? And this one reduce to be a positive one? Doesn't exist because the limits do not agree. What if they wanted just below? Just come in this one, the opposite. What if they want just above? This one, keep it the same. I think more and more with you guys in piecewise, and maybe I should do it in AB, I just don't hit it hard enough with absolute value or piecewise functions because I frankly focus on other things. I think a piecewise is the safest route. Okay, what else? Number 4. Oof. Okay, indefinite integral. Calc AB just did LTF number 7. That was yesterday. Number 8 is slope fields and differential equations. Those of you guys that missed 5 X's or 5 checks on an FRQ part, differential equations. Anyway, LTF number 7, for your information, is integration techniques in definite integrals. Definite integrals can you solve by hand? If you need extra practice, a great place to go. Okay, what do you see? I already have it. Do you think there's any way in the world that we want to raise this to the 5th power? No. Okay, so if we don't want to raise that to the 5th power, do you think we should maybe use U sub? Okay, so if it was a squared, I can FOIL stuff. Fine, I'll FOIL it. But a 5th power? Heck no. So du is equal to, old school, derivatives, don't we bring down? Why am I making a big deal about you writing this? Did any of you miss a point on an FRQ so you didn't put a dx or a dy or a dt? But secondarily, maybe you come up with integrals really well. Maybe you don't. We need to get dx alone to plug in, right? So if we don't even have them written, you're going to be sunk before you start. We're going to multiply the 3. We're going to divide. Ooh. We could divide the x to the negative 2/3, but guys, a negative 2/3, doesn't that just move it up? Or maybe an easier way is maybe we should have rewritten 1 over 3 x to the 2/3 dx. Long story short, when I go plugging and chugging, don't I have u to the 5th? I can pull the 1/6 out. I have the x to the 2/3, and now I have a 3x to the 2/3. That just cancels out as a part of your du. Your 3 can come out in front. I have 1/2 anti-derive. Just a few of you might have forgotten to even make this a u to the 6 over 6 plus c. Can we match it from there? Well, you can cancel out him. Well, that sucks. But I can go ahead and throw in, I'm going to end up with, plugging in your u. Oh, well, no big deal. It's the 12th one, right? Just throw in my u to the 6, and I have 2 times 6 is 12. All right.
Can we jump to the Wednesday exam?
Yeah, sure. Wednesday exam. Some of you guys might need to switch. Number 9.
So I get like how they got their answer, but I'm just wondering what I did wrong, or why my thing didn't work.
Can I check first what formula you used?
Yeah, I did integral of 1 plus dy dx, but I thought it was the same thing. I thought it didn't matter which one you used.
I'm actually glad you asked this because I saw some people on an FRQ doing this as well, and I honestly didn't have time, and my calculator wasn't working to check and see if you were right.
Because like dy dx to both sides isn't the same thing. Because normally it's cx squared.
The safe way and the way that works every single time, no matter what, and is actually faster, is if you do x prime of t plus y prime of t. This is the way that everyone who used it, it worked on your FRQ. People that did this, I didn't have time to check it, but either you messed it up, because I saw some like mistakes, so I took off points anyway, so I just didn't even worry about it, or I think yours was the only one that I was like, maybe you would have gotten it right. Let's just check real fast. When we go ahead and do it, x prime, y prime, we end up with 3t squared, right, over t.
It's just t. So I got 1 plus t squared, which is a, but that wasn't the answer.
I'm pondering why real fast. This is the magnitude of, this is speed, right? If we're talking about parametric motion. Or we could also think of it as the magnitude of putting our x prime and our y prime together if you're thinking about vectors. So it would make sense that this would be arc length because this would be the diagonal length anyway, infinitesimally small and being accumulated. This one works for non-parametric equations.
Why? I thought mathematically it's the same thing if you just divide, if you put both of them over dx. Dx over dx becomes 1.
dy dx gives us the slope of the tangent line. So you chose A, right?
Yeah. It was d.
I'm thinking with this one you'd have to eliminate the parameter, but I might be totally wrong. Someone else have an idea?
I think the origin of entity is t is not 1.
I think you do have to eliminate the parameter.
Because this one is technically not in terms of t, it would be in terms of, I think, x.
Yeah.
If you just did y prime of t over x prime of t, because that's what I did. I did 1 plus y prime over x prime squared, which I thought was the same thing.
Right, you did it in terms of t. I think technically the equation is dx and not dt. And I think that's where we get in trouble. I don't have all the math right this second to give you. But I think if we eliminated the parameter, like I just solved really quickly, sorry, for t squared, I could plug in, oh, that's going to be gross though. T would equal to the plus or minus square root of 2x. I think if we eliminate the parameter and then use this formula in terms of x, we'd be fine. Except the problem is then we'd have to have bounds of x of 1, 0. I don't have the fine-tuning of the math, but in terms of t, this doesn't work. In terms of x, it does. Oh, when doing dy dx? Oh, you did the cool one, though. Yeah, this top one totally works. Aryan's wondering why this one doesn't. Yeah. This one totally works. That one's easy, it's quick, it's efficient. He's going back to the old school arc length of non-parametric equations. I think, Aryan, the key is that it's dx, not dt. So you couldn't have used those t bounds in order to simplify. We actually had a homework problem at one point as to how this in terms of x equals that in terms of t. I just don't have the full proof off the top of my head. But you could go back and peek in, I think it was the vector section, which would have been right near the beginning of chapter 11.
Because like, my thing was when what I did with like using the top one, because I was thinking about both. I don't know why I decided to use the second one instead of the first one, but like I thought if you put like the top over x prime, Like, it's the same thing, but is
Well,
that
the problem is if you put him over x prime, that x prime had to somehow get addressed somewhere
that's
else.
what I think I assumed.
Yeah. And there is a proof in the homework to where this in terms of x is that in terms, oh, no, sorry. Is in terms of t. It's just getting it in terms of x would be a mess. Yeah. Okay, where else are we going? Wednesday or Saturday, part A? Wednesday, number 3? Okay. I heard someone else started to say one. Who's next? Cool. Number.
Wednesday? Wait, no. This one's a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday for you.
The Saturday one, number 5.
Okay. So after this one, just keep me on. It's Saturday, number 5. We have series, right, guys? Consider the series, it's a general series. They don't even give me the a sub n, an infinite series. They give me a sub 1 and the...
So isn't that
Ratio. Yeah.
It's ratio test, but
No, it's geoseries. They gave you because they said if you take the next term divided by the prior term, it's a ratio of 1 times.
oh, so I just
They're giving you a hint that if this is always true, if it's a constant ratio, yeah, then they're saying, hey, this is a geo.
okay.
But in a very hidden way. Yeah. No, it's not your bad. It was just weird. But yeah, it would have been nicer if they had put R. Going to Saturday, number 5, Diva, right?
Yeah.
Ooh. We have a table of rates, guys, right? We have a table of rates. Be careful. In your brain, you have to attach that capital R is a derivative of some expression for people, right? You could say that P of T is people. So R is equal to P prime. Maybe that's more of an A-B thing, but R is a rate in and of itself. Okay, people leave a building at a rate of whatever, out, right? People can be picking up bananas. Water can be going out of a tank. People can be leaving an amusement park, whatever. It's an out. People leave a building. Grain can be spoiling in a silo. You're welcome. Right? Riley knows that one. Okay, so people are leaving using a Wright-Riemann sum with 3 intervals and data from a table. Do you know what I've been hitting hard with AB? I've been hitting hard what can approximate a definite integral and how a definite integral graphically is area, whereas a derivative is slope. Now I know that's basic, but I'm actually having them go to FTC, where it's antiderivative of B minus antiderivative of A, and say that's one way to solve exactly, but the way to solve approximately is with like geometric areas or Riemann sums, or to solve exactly of something of the geometric shape. And yes, we're going on and talking about how this is like a change in integration is net change. This is a rate of y. We're going on to that too. But this I've been using over and over again in their AP questions. So check it. Use a Wright-Riemann sum with 3 subintervals, data from the table, to approximate the number of people. Guys, isn't the number of people 0 to 15 of R of t dt? If they gave me a function, it would be so much easier, right? That's the number of people. And I'm approximating this with a Wright-Riemann sum. They say 3 because how many jumps are there? 3. Riemann sums are always rectangles. Rectangles always use delta x's for each first subinterval, second subinterval, third subinterval. And then the heights, I'm going to say f of x sub r. Why am I saying x sub r? Because for each jump, you're using the x on the right, his y value, right? So for the first jump, what's my delta x? 5. And I'm using the y of the x on the right. So it's going to be 5 times 100 plus the next jump. What's my delta x? 5. And then the right, his y. So 5 times 75. And then the last one, this one's not too hard. It's all nice and even. But the x on the right, his y, would be 55. Now, could you literally multiply and add? Yes. That's kind of dumb because what's shared? Well, 5 out of everybody and just do 100 plus 75 plus 55. The math gets a little bit easier. And I end up with 120, 130, 5 times 230, which should be 1015. Except I can't do math. Why can't I math? 0, 5, 1. Oh, sorry, 1150. My bad. 11:15. Is that cool, Diva? The right? The left, you would have just chosen these guys instead. And the midpoint, you would have had to have a middle x with his own y. Does that make sense? Cool. All right.
Wednesday number 25.
Wednesday, number 25.
It's just a quick question. I don't know why it's negative.
What's the context of the problem?
It's a limit in
Cool.
f of x plus f of
Nice.
But for some reason it's negative, and I don't know why.
Okay. For AB, I've made a big deal with they have this like 27 essentials thing. I don't think I gave it to you guys. Y in limits for exponentials and piecewise functions, aka absolute values and square roots. Exponentials, as you guys plug in. Now, really quickly, if this was an FRQ, remember, we can't just say equals 0 over 0. So I would go ahead and take the numerator, take the denominator separately if you want to show your work. If it's something where it says, like it's checking your work. But I do have a 0 over 0, right? I choose to keep going.
I just did that. Like it looked like it was f of x plus h minus f of x over h.
That's what I would have thought too. I would have thought it's a f prime of x. I'm just showing to give context. But who is yours? So you're really just looking for a derivative. Where your f of x is equal to, well, isn't this your f of x? E to the negative 1, or it would be technically e to the negative x, where x is equal to 1. So really you're actually trying to find that's a 1, that's a 1, and that's a f prime of 1. So f prime of x would be negative e to the negative x, such that x is equal to 1, so negative e to the negative 1.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
The answer is B. See, I chose D too.
No, no, no.
That's b.
This is b.
Oh, wait.
Negative 1 over e.
Wait, can you back up to the x? What?
Okay. You look for him here, right?
Okay.
In definition of derivative, except I don't see an x, I see a 1.
Oh, I didn't get that.
No, or you could have, yeah, I don't see an x, I see a 1. You could have also seen a negative 1.
So when I got that, I didn't know how to derive it. Because I thought it was just e to the negative 1. So that's a constant.
Oh, yeah. But no. This is an f prime. Sorry, I wrote it, but I wrote it quick. This is not an f prime of x. This is an f prime of 1. Where I have the limit as h goes to 0 of f of 1 plus h minus f of 1. So then we had to look beyond the 1 and say who's there. Oh, it's an e to the negative x. And then go ahead and take the derivative of e to the negative x, plugging in 1. So we have it, and we have it, and then we have negative 1 over e. Kind of makes sense? So technically, for every card, this was your f prime of a. Equals the limit as one version is h approaching 0, the other version is x approaching a of f of a plus h minus f of a all over h. Maggie. 24 on Saturday. Let me come down here and do page down. Hi, you. We're just doing as many questions on the A multiple choices of both.
Can you do 24 and 20?
Yeah, start with 24. The McLaren. Okay. Some of you guys, I know we haven't technically done the FRQ yet, but some of you guys sadly made a Taylor series FRQ so much harder because it said G is equal to f of x cubed, and for some reason you didn't just take f and plug in x cubed. Why am I saying that? Why don't you just take sine of x and then go sine of x squared? I'm not saying you didn't, but just in broader context of what I saw in the FRQ and people making things way harder than they had to be. Who is sine of x? He's odd, right? Odd symmetry. So isn't he going to be the 1 minus x plus x squared over 2 minus, nope, odd. Why am I so silly? Lo siento. No. Odd. X minus x cubed over 3 plus x to the 5th over 5. It's factorials, right?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. Then you plug in x squareds, right?
Yeah.
when you plug in x squared's function notation, good old f of x, I get x squared minus what's x squared cubed? X to the 6th plus x squared to the 5th, power to a power you multiply, x to the 10th. And that's just who this guy is, right? But they say, I want f. Well, how do you get f from f prime? Integrate term by term. So that's going to be an x cubed over 3 minus, that's going to be an x to the 7th over 7 times 3 factorial. That's going to be an x to the 11th over 11.
I just didn't integrate because I got that, and then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to choose the
Do you see it? Derivative backwards, integrate term by term. Yeah. And if you guys notice, what on earth is the actual practical context of this? Do you guys have any idea how to integrate sine of x squared where there's absolutely no u sub and the problem isn't a multiply u dv, but it's an in u of? You have no idea how to integrate that. I have no idea how to integrate that. Maybe at one point in time I did, maybe I didn't, I don't know. But I don't know how to integrate it. But I know how to make a power series and say, oh, look, there he is. Da-da-da-da. Sorry, just broader application of what you're doing. Okay, now what? Oh, sorry. It's right there. I'm going to 26, but yeah, go ahead. Okay, let's do 26 and 18, and let's see if we get Aryan. Deba, you good? So plug in is what we did first, and then we had to integrate with power rule. Okay. 26 Saturday, and then we're transitioning to 18. Table. Sorry, this is 26 on Saturday, in case you weren't tracking. Continuous function has exactly 2 critical points, and we know what that is, right? That's f prime equals 0 or dne. Which of the following must be true? I see an average, careful, an average decrease, an average increase, an average increase, an average decrease. Do you guys realize there had to be a relative min somewhere there? Because there's 2 critical values. And the continuous function f, there had to be, there's no DNEs, so the only way to go from here to here, an average, there had to be an instantaneous somewhere. Okay, and there has to be an instantaneous somewhere. That's positive, then negative, so a relative max somewhere. What do I see? Is f always greater than 0? This is IVT saying, oh, hey, the y values always have to be positive, right? Do I have any clue if this went down negative or not? I have no clue. Okay, I don't know. F prime exists for all x in the... How do I know that? I know f is continuous, but do I know he's differentiable? No. So critical points could have been zeros or DNEs. This could happen at a sharp point, or this could happen at a curve. I don't know. They didn't tell me differentiable. So I don't know if the derivative, the critical points are zeros or DNEs. Aryan? Oh, no. Sorry. I thought you were asking about. We're going Maggie, then Riley, then you got one. F prime of x is less than 0 for all x between 10 and 11. I know the average is negative, but do I know that it was always only decreasing without a sign chart? No. F prime of 12 does not equal 0. Yes. Why? I know there are 2 critical points. I know relative extrema are going to have to occur at those points, those critical numbers, because of this average shift that I see. MVT would prove the instantaneous shifts as well. I can't have a 0 at 3 because there's no change and there are only 2 critical numbers and they're being used in between and in between. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Riley, we're going to Wednesday. Which one? 18. And then Aryan, I'm coming to you. Okay, but wait. Think it through. Special Maclaurens. E. He's a guy, right? 1 plus x plus, he's the nice one because all of his derivatives are the same, right? Okay. How do I do this? Just plug it in. Now, there's more to the question. There's more to the question, but hold on. So e to the negative 2x we plug in. So I get 1 minus 2x plus, because the negative 2x is squared, 4x squared over 2 factorial, minus, because the negative gets cubed, 8x cubed over 3 factorial plus, okay, I don't know. What is the slope of the line tangent to the graph of p at x equals 3? Yeah, slope of the tangent line. Don't I just want p prime of 3? So don't I... No, I need a second derivative. Couldn't I just look here and say, wait a minute, isn't this p of 3 plus p prime of 3x plus p double prime? Sorry. Of 3 all over 2 factorial x squared plus. This is the one coefficient that's not that bad. Everybody else, I'd have to be careful and set equal and solve the coefficient for the derivative. But this guy, remember, this is really just these first two. A first order power series is a tangent line. So I just say, oh, m equals negative 2. Dun, 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 dun. Done. Well, that's awkward.
I took the derivative by hand of a because that was negative 2. Oh, it is a actually.
Yeah, it is. Hold on. That's weird, though. Why is there an e to the negative 6 term?
It's because I think they want you to just take the derivative by hand. Because, I mean, that is the first derivative of that.
Oh, p is the polynomial. Oh, my bad.
Why don't you
Sorry.
go on the second degree?
My bad. No. I read it wrong. F is e to the negative x. P is the second degree or whatever. Yeah. That's my bad. Sorry. I named this guy. So he's not, sorry, he's f prime. So f prime is negative 2. But not p prime. P prime is not negative 2. So they want p prime of 3. P is the second degree. So the second degree guy would just be... Oh, some of you, I don't know why we're so bad at this. Second degree says stop when x is squared, right? Okay. Yeah, Max, all we have to do is take p prime of who p is, the second degree Taylor polynomial, lo siento, which is negative 2 plus, bring down the 2, the 2's end up canceling for x.
I didn't use the special requirements. Oh wait, you can't use the special requirement because it's not centered at 0. Can you?
Gracias. Yeah. It's supposed to be x minus 3. I got too excited about my plug and chugging. It's not centered at 0. I didn't see the about. I was too excited about my plugging in and how you guys messed it up on the FRQ. Which would be negative 2 e to the negative 6 times x minus 3 plus f double prime would be negative 4 e to the negative 6 x minus 3 squared. Yeah. And then p prime of 3 would equal, that's just 0. That's just going to be, that one would be 0. That one would be negative 2 e to the negative 6 plus, I could bring down the 2. The 2's cancel, negative 4 e to the negative 6, but I still have the x minus 3. And when I plug in 3, that one ends up being 0. So I end up getting a. Struggle about. Ah! Special McLarens only work 0. So I took my first, I took my second, I plugged into my formula because it was x minus 3, not x. Then I went ahead and plugged into f prime, plugged into f double prime. And then I was supposed to take a derivative. Derivative of any constant is 0. I actually distributed. Derivative of any constant is 0, so the derivative of this is just the term. This guy did chain rule. I brought down the 2, made it a 1, but when you plug in 3, he's 0 anyway, so you just get left with that. That was what I messed up on. And it sounds like you too, is we had to build it centered around 3. Struggle. All right.
28.
This.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's supposed to be simple, but imagine
We both got 6.
What happened?
I don't know. It's just total. It's just an integral from 0 to 3, but for some reason we both got 6.
Ooh. Integral from 0 to 3 of the absolute value of velocity.
Sorry, what was that one more time?
Isn't total distance speed? There's a 0 at 2. To go from 0 to 2. But it would have been your last, no. Yes? Anyway.
I didn't even get to it. I didn't have time.
But yeah, you'd have to split up the integral. You guys good at that point?
Wait, and then when you split it, you add.
You add. Because you're taking the area, the absolute value area, and taking the area, the 2 displacements.
But it's still the same. It's still the same integral.
Yeah.
So keep whatever. It's like my little integram.
Yeah, your integram is totally fine, just you have to do it twice. So if you get your 1/3 t cubed minus 3t squared plus 8t, you have to plug in from 0 to 2, get that number, a positive or a negative, and make it absolute value, which it sounds like if you guys didn't solve, there must be a change in sign somewhere. And then do the exact same thing here with the exact same integrand.
That's actually disgusting.
Not pretty. That shouldn't be too bad. Well, but hold on. You have to be strategic with it. I mean, the 0 is going to be easy because they're all going to cancel, right? I'm going to have my 8/3. I'm going to have my 12. I'm going to have my 16. You have 4. And they're all positive, so keep it positive. No big deal. There's no negative anyway. But this one over here, when I get it, I'm going to have 27/3, which is 9 minus 27 plus 24. Except I also need the 2, which sucks. But that's okay. Sorry.
What's the negative?
9 minus 27 plus 24 minus 8/3 minus 12 plus 16, which would once again be 4 and 8/3. But that's being subtracted from negative 3, 6. Which is going to end up being 2 and 2/3. That's going to be 2/3 when you have the negative and make it absolute value. So you're going to do add 2/3, 10/3, 12, 22/3? Yeah. What else do we have? Saturday or Wednesday?
Are we only doing non-calculated?
No, it's just non-calculated. Just make sure we cover those first, because not everyone's done B. So homework this weekend is B. Yeah.
28.
The other one? 28 on Saturday,
Yeah. And also
because the new format is 30 questions for an hour. Yeah. You guys had the new format, FRQs, but not multiple choice. Hey.
Just
Hey, FRQ people, hey. Some of you had an improper integral. Hey, are you going to write it properly now? Hey, hey, hey. Sorry, way back. I mean, D's not wrong, but it's not all the values of P. Why? I'm taking this, and I'm thinking what it was before. Before, I'm thinking of it as... Because then I can think about it like a P series, right? And so if I go 1 over n to the 3p plus 1, your P series says it will converge for 3p plus 1 greater than. Yeah, that worked, right? What else do we have? Saturday or Wednesday? Oh, yeah. If the power series converges at 7 and diverges at 9. This sounds an awful lot like they're testing an interval of convergence at the endpoints. Oh, I'm just spitballing. Sorry, I haven't even looked at what else is going on. Converges at 7. Well, I mean, they're giving us clues. They're giving us hints. We could go ahead and plug in if it helps. We could say a sub n of 7 minus 4 is 3 to the n. And then a sub n, 9 minus 4 is 5 to the n. This one doesn't work and that one does work. If I plug in 1, a sub n is going to be negative 3 to the n, right? Which couldn't I make that a sub n 3 to the n times negative 1 to the n? Isn't he just alternating now? And if this was good, isn't that absolute value? Absolute convergence? So if this guy works, guess who else is going to work? The alternator. Did I plug in wrong? 7 minus 4 is 3, right?
Yeah, it says 30 is B. See, because I chose C. Yep, the answer is B.
I would have chosen A. Because if I plug in negative 1, that's going to be a negative 5, which kind of has to do with that guy, but he diverges. So if the absolute value, I don't know for sure, this could have or it could not have based on conditional convergence. 2 minus 4 has no bearing along with 3 to that. Let me double check that one. I would say absolute should prove conditional as far as absolute should prove alternating.
Would 2 work?
Well, 2 minus 4 is negative 2 to the n. We don't have any guarantees about. We know about 5 to the n. We know about 3 to the n by plugging in, but we don't know anything about 2 to the n.
See, my thing was like, because like 2 is going to be smaller than 3. Like if I plug into like 2 minus 4, that's a negative 2, right? Like, because I did the alternating for A, for number 1, so I was like, oh, that's going to work. And then for number 2, I was like, oh, okay, like it's smaller than, so if it's bigger and it converges, then the smaller is going to also converge.
Assuming it's smaller, the problem is without knowing a sub n. Well, I guess you can do a sub n.
I figured it was B, but the answer is
How could B not work? Huh. I agree with the alternating. Yeah, Hannah, what's up, kiddo? But you have work.
Oh, we're not meeting with our people today.
Oh yeah, Abby told me it was canceled. I didn't even know.
He just told me right now when I went in there to like roast.
Abby told me after second year.
You were kind of thinking alternating.
I found
So I
out.
guess they knew before we did.
He said he's gonna tell us why.
A negative.
Abby was asking if it was because of Rebecca's birthday, because she didn't know why. She just knew it was.
Our speakers.
Yeah.